Following their recent release, the Felix Acrylic Humidor and its larger Felix Pro sibling have gone on to become some of the hottest sellers we've ever had at Claro. People just dig the way they look and the way in which they perform. And because there's Spanish cedar inside, still with these nifty trays, you still get all of the benefits of a regular full cedar humidor, but with a really neat transparent appearance. But even with its super tight seal and slick aesthetics, I find that this humidor, the Felix Pro in particular, has a little bit of extra room for some modifications and upgrades. The moment that I saw this on display as a pre-production model at the PCA show at our booth last year, I thought to myself, now that is a product that is ideal for some LED lighting. Anyone who's ever owned an acrylic fish tank or have upgraded their PC case with something with some acrylic in the side of it for transparency and internal aesthetics know full well that this material really likes LED lights. Acrylic tends to transfer the light that's emitted from these light emitting diodes very efficiently. And because of that, it causes much of it to glow. So now that I have my own Felix Pro on hand, I think that it might be time to get around to conducting a little LED experiment because I like to tinker. Why add LEDs to something like this? Why not? An acrylic box is essentially an aesthetic piece to begin with, so why not embellish what's already there? I just love the idea of seeing my humidor glowing at night in the corner full of delicious stogies. Kind of makes me think of something you'd see in like a Star Wars villain's cavern somewhere on Tatooine. But enough nerd notes. Let's get to DIYing, shall we? Now, as for materials that are needed to conduct this little DIY LED experiment, you're basically left with three options. A Felix Pro. Regular Felix won't work. It does not have the ash wood base. Ergo, you'd have to create your own or sit it up on top of an LED shelving unit of some sort. That's a totally different bag of chips. We're not dealing with that today. You will also need some form of a riser or a felt slider pad of some sort. The reason why you're going to be needing this aren't just to prevent you from scratching the surface of whatever your humidor is sitting on top of, but to leave room for this and this. This right here is an LED strip tape that I had left over from a previous PC build that I did a few years ago. The adhesive on the back side of this is still very good. It's very, very sticky. And it is multi-controllable. I have a control here, which has a bunch of different features. Since the wiring is about this thick and these felt pads are the exact same, it clears just barely. At least I noticed when I pre-fitted everything the other day. So this should work just fine. You do not have to go with a wired LED system to make this thing work. You can actually go with something that's rechargeable, that is completely wireless, that you just slap underneath. And then when battery power gets low, you just recharge it. And since LED kits come in a myriad of different sizes and shapes and styles, you can go with anything from a block type to a strip type that's set and doesn't bend whatsoever, like a tube, or you can even go with an entire pad. As long as it fits underneath here, you can set it down on top of it. And for those of you who already have a shelf somewhere in your house with integrated lighting underneath it or inside of it somewhere, more power to you. Just pop it on top and watch the show. But for the sake of experimentation and sharing, we shall be using what I have sitting around at the house today, and I'll see how it looks a little later on this evening. To get started, you will need to first remove the acrylic box itself from its wooden base, which is sometimes easier said than done. These things sitting up pretty firmly. Oh my goodness. Yeah, pretty snug. Oh, there it goes. Wooden base removed, you will find that underneath there are some silicone foot pads for anti-scratch and anti-slip purposes, as well as on the inside a lip. It is this lip that runs along the inside of the base that we will be utilizing today for our LED strip tape. Due to this inner coping or frame line facing toward the center of the acrylic box itself, it gives me reason to believe that it should light up the majority of the humidor itself. This will also prevent me from squishing my LED lights and causing an uneven fitment within the box itself. If I try to stick it inside of here and run wiring and everything, I'd have to do some drilling for holes. It would just be a mess. So this inner lip really is my best option. But before we can even get to that point, it's time to add some feet to this sucker. You don't want to have to deal with that afterward. You want to get it done first so that you don't have to worry about fooling with wiring and flipping it back over time and time again. You want to set it and forget it. Mounting point wise, I have selected these 4 corners. I could run them on the insides as well, but I feel that due to the length being longer than the depth of the humidor box itself, this would provide better stability and support. Peel and stick, peel and stick, peel and stick, peel and stick. Felt pads installed, it's time to move on to the LED side of things. Now, even though this old LED tape of mine has been around for about 5 years now, there's still a lot of life left in it, and it has a lot of features that I like, including the remote control. I've also doubled it down upon itself, basically folded it in half, because on the inside of these LED tapes is an adhesive. And if you let that just dry out and sit exposed to the elements, it'll get covered in dust and again dry out and you have to use glue. By doing this, you often will find that your LED strip tape will stay relatively fresh and sticky for years to come, even when in storage. As for application wise, I'm going to use this far back corner. You can really use any corner you want, or hell, even if you want to, right in the middle. But I want this section of my LED tape to be tucked back down here and pipe out the back side of it so that you don't see it. Once everything has been applied to the inside lip and your wiring is tucked out to the side, you can drop your box back in and give it a little testaroo. We have LEDs that are working, everything's plugged in. Let's test the old remote and see if we can change some colors. Oh yeah, look at that. It's orange. Ooh, I got a strobe button. Oh, cool. This is gonna look badass at night. Now that our little LED light show is officially underway, what we have to do now is load this puppy up with stogies and wait for nighttime. Another added benefit that I'm just now noticing about this little DIY upgrade I just did in 5 minutes was that these riser pads I put underneath have given cause for it to glow underneath as well. You get a little bit of a light show reflecting off of whatever surface you put this sucker on top of. And while you can add wireless LED systems, rechargeable battery style systems, inside of the humidor itself, I don't recommend it. You want to keep your cigars pure. You don't want lithium ion battery leakage concerns occurring inside. And on top of that, too, they may add some additional heat. LEDs don't put off a ton of heat, but they still do put off some heat, and you don't want that sitting right next to your stogies. Mounting underneath where I did, or somewhere down in that way, and putting these riser pads under the tray have allowed more airflow to circulate under the humidor. I'll keep an eye on my hygrometer on the front to make sure that temps don't skyrocket, and I'm going to leave these LEDs on for the next few hours while I wait for dark. So that's that for now. I'm going to go smoke a cigar, and I'll catch y'all in a few hours when the sun goes down.